So when I was first getting into skincare, I was always curious, what would it be like to experience a professional skin facial treatment? Not the kind where you go in your toilet, you get that magnifying mirror and you pick at your face until the only thing you can see is redness, but one at an actual clinic. Now at that time that I was curious about what it would be like to experience a professional skin treatment, I'd only experienced the latter, which let's just say it wasn't great for my skin. But most importantly, some of the things I used to ask myself were the questions that you guys would probably wonder as well. Do they actually work? How much do they cost? How long do they take? And even, can they make your skin look like the skin in those K-Skin product ad type videos? And well, after telling myself to be realistic, yet hopeful, there was only one thing to do, and that was to go find and get a professional skin treatment in the city of London. Specifically, the professional facial skin treatment that I was going to be getting was the Murad Method Facial, and this was at a hairdresser's, a clinic, a spa. It had loads of things in there, even a restaurant, I believe. It was one of those places where the second you walk in, you know what you're getting yourself into. It's gonna be a great time. I mean, they even had Aesop soap and, hand moisturizer in the toilet. So if that doesn't say, then I don't know what will. Now we got the whole shebang. The extractions, the chemical peel, the massage, and even a skin analysis. So essentially just another weekday. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. And so here is my experience. And the goal of me showcasing this to you guys is to maybe inspire one of you guys and have you decide whether you could benefit from one of these professional skin facial treatments and you get one done in the nearest city to you. So if you do end up doing that and you're inspired, let me know in the comments and let me know how your experience was. Now full transparency over here. I was invited to go get this facial done by Team Murad, but that won't get in the way of me giving you guys my full honest opinions unless I happen to see a 10 grand wire go into my account. Hopefully you guys know I was joking, right? I did also want to do a little experiment in my head. Now, I use Murad products, and I have used a lot of them, and so I know what to expect from them. They're effective, and they give results. But I did also want to see, would it be more cost-effective, or if, let's say, the price of the facial you were to invest in Murad products, would you get the same results as you would in the facial, or would the results be different? Anyway, I'll be covering that in a bit to see if it would be a valid choice to invest that money into their products as opposed to a facial. Let's make that wire 20 grand. Also, fun fact, kind of a little full circle moment. Before I went to this facial, my mom actually mentioned that, just a bit of context, she's a licensed professional in this skin field, that she had met Dr. Murad years ago and found him to be very knowledgeable as well as friendly. So I thought that was quite neat. Alright, I think it's finally time to get into the experience. So you walk into Hershey Sons and you're greeted by the reception and they give you a form to fill out. Now this is not any form, it's quite long and you're filling out this form, but it's just to get an idea of your skin concerns, what kind of skin type you think you have. Also anything else that may be an issue during this facial, such as skin conditions, because otherwise, chemical peels aren't exactly probably the best course of action if you have something like that. But then you're greeted by your facialist and you walk into this room and then you get down to business. And we started with a face analysis. Now obviously I filled out those forms when I was in the waiting lobby, but that was more superficial, alright? This is when we get into the good stuff. What my skin actually needs, taking photos of it, and all sorts of, technology, because this wasn't your normal iPad that was taking photos of my face to see what I needed, or also, maybe what I was doing well in my skincare routine. But it did use some other technology, and I'm not afraid to admit, it did also expose my skin. Now, of course, I thought I was chilling when it came to this. I've been applying consistently SPF to my skincare routine and doing other stuff for about 2 to 3 years. That's what I thought. But the skin analysis still showed me areas of my skin that had UV damage. Although overall, I would say though, I got told that it was still quite good. And I did ask her to repeat that for the camera. But the brief skin analysis didn't only show areas that needed help in terms of UV damage, but it also showed areas that are lacking in hydration, so ones that I need to target, and also breakout areas that you perhaps wouldn't see with the naked eye. So whether you think your skin is amazing or it needs work, either way, it will definitely be exposed by the skin technology face analysis, but in a good way. It'll be able to address your specific skin concerns and tailor the approach towards those. But this facial wasn't just a facial, and what I mean by that is you walk in and you're greeted by everything looking good, smelling nice, and you also get to put on music as well. And obviously, what would I have done? I put on heavy metal. I'm basic, I chose classical music, but apparently some people do put on heavy metal, house, disco. Can you imagine? I can't, but the point is, the whole thing is an experience. So at this point, my skin's just being prepped for the chemical peel with a quick cleanse, and this just ensures basically that there's a clean surface when we start. Kind of like when you do your skincare routine, you cleanse before you do anything. So it's a similar type of idea. During this prep stage, there was also a bit of brief steaming on my face just to soften the skin a little bit, not to open the pores as you probably would have heard somewhere, because that is a fat myth and that can't be done. And so this brief introduction of the steamer to my face will add some moisture to the skin, and therefore this will increase the absorption of the chemical peel, and therefore it'll make the whole treatment a whole lot more effective. But I'd also like to think it also helps prepare my skin for everyone's favorite part of skincare, especially the middle-aged moms on Facebook, the extractions. Don't worry, we've got a couple of those extractions coming up. It's like a little treat. Now, a chemical peel is no joke. If you've had one done before, you kind of know what I mean. Essentially, you get skin tingling, albeit mild. You can definitely feel it and it's quite uncomfortable. And then as well as that, your skin starts to feel a bit hot. Though because this trauma, you could say, is controlled, the benefits of this chemical peel outweigh the cons, which is just being slightly uncomfortable. And also, I mean, it could be a good way to test your pain tolerance. If you've ever thought that you had a high pain tolerance and that you know maybe your career that you were destined to be was a stunt double, then go ahead and get a chemical peel. And if you still don't feel anything, then it may be your calling. Now, after the chemical peel, which really only lasted a few minutes, actually may have been longer than that or shorter, I don't know, my eyes recovered. I started to notice as the facial went on, in between the treatments with the relaxing as well as the massaging periods, I did have to question myself. Was this it? Was I going to be woken up with drool on my face? And I'm proud to say that I managed not to do that. But of course, because this is a facial, they gotta keep you on your toes, and this was short-lived. So the next step was extractions. Now, Carol used glove fingers. For anyone wanting to comment, was their gloves used? They were, and she used these to gently, well, mostly gently unclog my pores. Slightly uncomfortable? 100%. Is beauty pain? Unfortunately. Actually wasn't that bad, except for the nose. That has got to be up there with one of the most painful places to get a pimple popped, a blackhead, or anything like that, any sort of extraction. Hopefully you know what I mean and you can empathize with me a little bit. Now, I obviously couldn't see what was going on because I was the one getting these extractions done on my face, but based on the reactions from my brother who was filming and Carol, these seemed to be some Dr. Pimple Popper level extractions. So in my mind, this voluntary pain was for a pretty good cause, and that's obviously your guys' entertainment. Yeah. Your entertainment. And from there, we then moved on to a brief upper body massage and then onto the cooling mask. And this cooling mask was so much needed after the extractions and the chemical peel back to back. It did feel quite nice. So yeah, this was probably my favorite part. But on top of that, not only do you get a facial treatment, but you also get a few massages in there as well. So really, you're paying for a treatment, but you also get the massages maybe for free. So it's all about the experience. Right, so at the stage, as the cooling mask starts to come off and is wiped off, the facial is also coming to an end as well. But I will say, I appreciated it that at the end of the facial, you get a full face of Murad products. And this is great for multiple reasons. Number one, you're set for the rest of the day. But number two, if there are any products that you have never tried from Murad but that you wanted to try, this was a great time to do that because you could request them. I think they had every single product in there. And this was actually the case for me with the serum and the moisturizer. I hadn't tried these before and I quite liked them when I tried them there. So obviously I'm going to be more likely to buy them as well in the future. So it's smart, but it also is cool that you get that at the end of the facial as well. And that's almost the hour wrapped up, as that's how long this facial was. But I kind of didn't want to leave because I was proper tucked into that chair there. And you know, obviously I was getting the massages, I was getting a facial treatment, so it felt quite nice. But the feeling of looking at your skin after facial is similar to the one where guys go to the barbers and then after they get a fresh trim, they happen to need to run all their errands that day. But I did get up and I did look at my skin afterward. Though saying that, there still was a bit of redness on my face, but this is typical if you get a facial, especially one with extractions, although it shouldn't last for longer than a day or so. And then after that, you are left with the most insanely soft skin you have ever felt. Not even kidding, I had an addiction to touching my face after this. It was the softest thing, or softest skin I'd ever felt. But before the video ends, there are a few things that I do want to address. Number one, the fact that I did get invited to get a facial by this well-known brand. That's insane. And number two, I also wanted to address and recap my experience, but address some of the questions that you guys may have had about this experience, but ones that I haven't addressed already in this video. The first question being, is getting a facial a luxury? Now, it's typically associated with the word luxury, luxurious, you know, being rich, having a nice lifestyle, but is this truly the case? And by luxury, let me clarify. I mean, should they be part of your skincare routine, and should they be done as frequently as needed, or should they be rather special and infrequent? The short answer, in my opinion, is that facials go a lot deeper than you could at home. Not necessarily physically, though in the case of that chemical peel, you probably couldn't do that at home, but rather the whole thoroughness of the process. But to go back to, should facials be done frequently or should they be done for special occasions and infrequently, you could also potentially bring up the skin cycle. Now, this is essentially a process where the skin renews itself every month or so. If you want to be more specific, every 28 to 48 days. But, you know, you could use this as a reference guide and get a facial every 2, 3, 4 skin cycles to keep it easy. But to be honest, it could just be a lot simpler to get one when you notice your skin is in need of some TLC. But the way I have thought about them when I have paid, which sounds a bit weird to say, is as an investment. So number one, the professional tools. Because that skin analysis that we did at the start is probably something that your bathroom mirror can't do. I mean, if it is, I wonder what kind of bathroom mirror you have, but my bathroom mirror can't do that skin analysis. Also too, their expertise, they're trained for this. So in the first few minutes of knowing you and seeing your skin, they'll probably know more about your skin than you have known in your whole entire journey. Or if this is not the case and you know you're quite knowledgeable about your skin and skincare, then maybe even they can offer an alternative opinion on what could be good for your skin, or also what potentially, is causing some of the skin concerns that you're currently having. And number 3, I'm not convincing you guys on this, I already know that, but I'm still going to bring it up anyways, and that is proper extractions. Sure, you can do this at home, we all have, and probably do, no comment, but it's likely to be a lot more effective when you get it done in a treatment at a salon, for example. When I was getting the steam-in treatment, that's quite an expensive tool to use, as well as potentially an ultrasonic scrubber if you get a facial like that on your nose, but also with the gloves and the proper precautions. And lastly, where to apply pressure and also how much pressure to apply is also an important factor to know when doing extractions. So if you've gotten to this point and you're considering getting one yourself, here are a few ways to make the most out of your money when getting a facial. So first, I found that usually the local clinics, the smaller ones, will offer some sort of discounts and packaging, savings, but you've also got websites like Groupon as well as Voucher that you can get some cheeky savings on as well. Now up next, sort of like I mentioned before, it might be worth investing in professional treatments less often, but complementing it with good at-home care products. And lastly, you may find that local beauty colleges that have salons will offer huge savings and discounts when you get a treatment done by an esthetician in training. Now this isn't some sort of, guinea pig experiment, first time trying this super high concentrated acid, but rather just overlooked by a professional and licensed esthetician, but just being done by one that's in their training. And I've actually done one of these myself and got the treatment done for free. It was the Obashi treatment. All I had to do was show up, I got the treatment for free, maybe a few photos were taken or videos, my eyes were covered, and then, I walked out with a free facial treatment. So this avenue might also be worth exploring if you have a bit more time and effort to dedicate to looking for adverts that are looking for people to have estheticians and stuff in training do a facial on you. So yeah, it just takes that little bit of time, research, and effort to get that Patrick Bateman level skin, or if you prefer, the skin that they have in those K-Skin ads. Now, to answer the question I posed at the start about whether you should just buy the product for the same price of the facial, I'd confidently say no, and that's because of a few reasons. Number one, I did learn a lot more about my skin during that facial analysis than I probably would have buying products and using them at home. Number two, I did leave with some pretty good looking skin, albeit some redness, but that did eventually go away. And number three, it was a whole experience, like I did mention throughout this whole video, and hopefully you guys could see that as well. And you usually can't put a price on that. So whether it becomes a semi-regular thing for you, a one-time thing, or just a distant bucket list item that you'll come back to later, hopefully you've enjoyed watching my experience of what this facial was like. So yeah, let me know if you've ever had a skin treatment before and what it was like, and also if you think this should be a skincare must or more of a special occasion thing. But after you've done that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.